You are watching the Target 3.4 retest film. In this one, we're going to look at the significant features of a graph of an exponential function and some of the relationships that you can draw between them. So by now you should have picked up a white packet, retest packet for 3.4. And remember, you have to finish this whole thing before you're allowed to do any kind of retesting. Also remember that if you need any extra help besides watching the movies, that you can go see your teacher before or after school. So let's start out. We're going to do 3 and number 8 for the graphing. And we're going to take a look at 9, 11, and 13. And these are problems that involve domain and range and asymptotes. So we're going to start out with graphing by doing a table. So we're going to start out by making a table for each of these functions. Okay, to do each of these tables, we're just going to take a look at some negative numbers and some positive numbers, and also 0, and plug those into the function and use a calculator to find the answers. So if I bring this over just once here, we're going to do 4 times 2 to the negative third power, because negative 3 is the first number in our table, and then we're going to take away 1. So PEMDAS says I need to do the exponent first, so 2 to the negative third power, get that, and then we're going to multiply by 4, so times 4, get that, and then we're going to take away 1, and end up with that, so negative 0.5. Okay, we're going to proceed in this way all the way through to positive 3 and come up with a table. So let's see, 2 to the negative 2 power is this, 0.25, multiply by 4, get 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and go through that same process for this, all the other 5 numbers too, and you'll see a filled out table. All right, here is the table. Let's go ahead and plot each one of those on the graph. So negative 3 matched with negative 0.5. Negative 2 is matched with 0. Negative 1 is matched with 1. 0 is matched with 3. 1 is matched with 7. And 2 is matched with 15. And 3 is off the graph. So here is the graph. Notice that we're going to have a place where the graph approaches but doesn't quite touch. And that is right down here. Never quite touches this negative 1, and that's what we call the asymptote. But there's the graph for now. We're going to talk about asymptotes, domain, and range in a little while. So let's move on to number 8. We'll make another table. So for this one, we're going to use, instead of 1/2, we'll use 0.5. Makes the calculator a little easier. So you have 0.5 to the negative third power. Oop, negative 3 plus 1, that's my fault. So 0.5 to the negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 power. And we're going to times by 2, multiply by 2, and we'll take away 1 at the end, and you end up with 3. Okay, I'm going to pause now and fill out the rest of it, but go through that same process of adding 2 to the x, doing 0.5 to that power, multiply by 2, and take away 1, and you will get your table. Okay, there's the table. I'm going to go ahead and graph that on the graph then. Negative 3 is matched with positive 3. Negative 2 is matched with positive 1. Negative 1 is matched with 0. 0, negative 0.5, and it keeps going. Now notice it comes really close to there but never touches. So when I graph it, that's where the asymptote will be. And we'll go from there. There's a good sketch of that graph. So let's go to some of the significant features of these. And the significant features we're going to talk about in this movie is the domain and range, and also the asymptote. So what I did do is I included the graph for number 9 so that you can kind of see us doing this problem too. And then we're going to talk about domain and range. Now, domain is easy for all of these because the domain It's going to be all real numbers. It goes left and right because of these arrows in all directions. But you notice that it's going to have an asymptote right here. And it went down 2 spots at -2. And in class, you saw that that -2 corresponded to this because it was shifted down 2. So the range then has to do with that, the fact that everything is above that -2. And that's what greater than -2 means. So the asymptote then is right on that -2, and the equation is y equals -2. Don't just write -2 here, write the whole equation. So again, it has to do with that 1 and that -1. So domain, easy for all of these. Range, it's always going to be y is greater than, and it's greater than that last number there because that's where it was shifted up and down. And then the asymptote also has to do with that shift too. Remember, we're writing the equation, y equals 1 and y equals -1. So there you have it. Go ahead and rewind that and watch it over and over again if you need to. Go see your teacher if you need more help before or after school. Remember, you have to finish that packet before you are allowed to do any kind of retesting.